Hey everybody, it's Lori with Three Keys Astrology. Whew, we are up close and personal, and we are talking about a favorite subject of mine, Venus. She is the goddess of love and all about relationships. Venus rules Taurus and Libra, and she's exalted in Pisces. Oh, sorry about that. Wiggling around. Um, he knows too. I think my grandma says that means you're coming into money. Okay. So Venus, life without love is no life at all. And she's a goddess. And so I think I'm going to create a little goddess series and talk about why is my nose so itchy? I'm gonna Google that and see what that means. It is an old wives' tale, and I do think it means money. Scratching your palm too is something money, but if you guys know what, comment in the box below. Um, so anyway, Venus. Venus is love. Venus is about relationships, and I've been talking since I started this YouTube series for my channel, Three Keys Astrology, and my website and business, trying to embody the planets and personify them for you so that you, when I do weekly scopes or any kind of reading, you can say, oh, yeah, I get a feel for what that's like. So today we're going to kick off this goddess series with the water goddesses. And when we talk about Venus, I've made some notes. Look at my paper here. Oh, sorry. Humid here in Buffalo, and I have had more than enough neck and back surgery, so I'm uncomfortable and can't sleep very well when it's humid outside. And last night, pain had me awake until like 3 o'clock in the morning, which I like to go to bed early and get up early. So I'm still a little stiff, but it's working its way out. All right, so the water goddess Venus is, I want you to imagine her. Um, she's above all of us. She's the woman that we aspire to be. She's Mother Mary in the heavens. And depending on which stars and constellations her chariot lands, depends on, usually for a month or sometimes 6 weeks, how long we get to be in her energy. And she's all things feminine, she's all things loving, but she expresses her love and herself differently according to the element and the constellation she's in, and for whomever the planets are that are around her. And when I do your personal readings, I can tell you all about your Venus. When I read for your husband or your lover, if you're a female, I can tell you what excites him in a woman, what kind of woman he desires deep in his soul. And if you're a man, your Venus talks about not only the woman you desire, but the way that you also love and what you appreciate. So contact me for readings. You can go to my website, Three Keys Astrology, to order them. And I welcome you to become a member of our group, Three Keys Astrology. I've started putting people together in friendships, kind of a pen pal situation from when we were children, where we'd write to someone from another country, because I have lovely participants from all over the world in our group, and I'm really loving you guys so much. And thank you so much for appreciating the work that I do, and and my love for astrology means everything to me. So the water goddesses, I want you to picture women who are soft and gentle. That's who they are deep in their souls. I want you to picture every gradient of color, from clear blue, clear, just a little tinge of blue, through all the gradients of blue, from turquoise to sapphire to deep Mediterranean blue, Um, Throw in a little bit of green to the turquoise Caribbeans and the pristine beaches in Florida where the blue is like sky blue. Every shade of blue that you can imagine, every shade of green that you can imagine when we think of the waters of the world. And then the blues to the deepest mixtures of purples. So from azure blue of the Mediterranean and Aegean Sea, for which I've cupped and held in my hands and wanted to bring back to America, the the Aegean Sea and Mediterranean is the prettiest water I have ever seen. My heart and soul belong there. So the water goddesses in our zodiac, Venus represented by Cancer, Venus represented by Scorpio, and Venus represented by Pisces, who I'm talking about today. So picture our goddesses in wearing gowns that flow and are ethereal and soft chiffons and silks. Picture her in the heavens to be anything from the clear, lightest blue um, to those beautiful deep colors of blues and greens and all the colors of the water. And I encourage you to get outside and see these natural colors. They'll inspire you and make you want to do draw and paint, listen to music. The goddess of love, a goddess is receptive to her lover, her husband, her mate, her partner, man or woman. Um, Venus is never more than 48 degrees away from the sun mathematically in our astrological calculations. And she, like all of us, needs the vitality of the sun. She is the depiction of what we appreciate and value, but she's also um, a woman who wants to be adored by the man who loves her and by her children and her family. Venus, of all the planets, is all about relationships. So when we have water goddess Venuses, and when you're born that your Venus is in a water sign, you have a very gentle, soft soul. The water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, are the feeling bodies of all the signs and all the constellations. The water goddesses represent our emotional selves and what we need emotionally, what we want emotionally, and the way we love. And not everybody loves this way. Not everybody thinks this way. Not everybody lives this way. But we're sensitive and we're more psychic and intuitive than some of the other signs. Fire signs also have good intuition, and air signs, touched and kissed by Uranus, can be very psychic and intuitive. All you have to do is look into my eyes, and I was hoping that the light would show. Um, you'll see our rising sign often depicts the way we look, talks about our appearance, but the Bible says the eyes are the windows of the soul. And when you look into someone's eyes, there's a lot of information there. Water signed people usually have big, dreamy eyes, and you'll sense someone who feels you. They understand what you're talking about. They have great compassion for you and an understanding that goes beyond this world. And so that's what the water goddesses represent. And we'll start talking about Cancer. She's the water goddess of summertime. And she's ruled by the moon. And so these are the two entities in our heavens, the two heavenly bodies that are feminine. So people who have Venus in Cancer have a very, very feminine look, feel, dress, way, speech about them. And um, she's the wife to the sun. Of all the planets in the zodiac, only the sun and moon rule one sign. The rest of the planets have a dual influence over the other bodies, the constellations, stars, planets, asteroids in our heavens. But the moon is the mom and the sun is the dad. And they're depicted by Leo and Cancer. So women that have Venus in Cancer, men that have Venus in Cancer, want a strong partner. They love the traditional roles of the man being the man and the woman being the woman. And this goddess looks up to her son, looks up to her partner. She adores him and she loves his strength and his differences. Um, she wants his advice and his opinion. And she cares about what he thinks. And she lives for her home and her family. She wants everyone to feel comforted and loved. So, to understand the goddess Venus in Cancer, picture your summer days outside. And this water is all the pools, swimming pools, and water parks, and jet skiing, and hot summer days, bright sunlight where the whole family is soaking up the sun, feeling its power and its energy. And then Venus is making sure all the little children have sandwiches and something to drink, a good picnic. Venus in Cancer is very concerned with loving and caring, making sure that all your needs are met. And she makes a wonderful mother. She loves it and she radiates her own joy when you're taken care of. And so this is a really lovely Venus and so harmonious. She loves the outdoors. She loves nature. She's gentle. She's got a Laura Bush mentality and cares. She loves children. And this is a very kind person usually. And her charisma just draws you in only to speak to her. You're awash comfort and peacefulness. And think of the prettiest turquoise blue waters and think of the color blue in all the swimming pools and think of bright shining sun to understand this water goddess. And most of all, with the water goddesses, the peacefulness that we get when we are in water, when we look at water, when we're part of the waters of the world. So I hope that you understand Venus and Cancer, this goddess, and I hope your imagination pictures her in blue and green chiffons and a sort of a floating, easy nature. The next water sign, and always know she's a woman even if you're a man, because every man and woman come from a woman. We're born from women. We all share characteristics of both sexes, some more than others. And as your astrologer, I can see and definitely weigh your masculine and feminine tendencies when I do my readings for you. So, excuse me a second. I don't want to forget anything that I wrote about her. If you enjoy this video, direct message me. I invite you, if you're not already a member, to come to our 3 Keys Astrology group. But direct message me or order on my website or send a message that you'd like to have a goddess reading. These are great readings and gifts to give other people too, especially young girls that are 14 and 15 and in that stage of individuation when they're becoming women and leaving their girlhood and childhood behind. Um, I mean, all the way up into the mid-20s, women really enjoy this. And it's really important that we not only adore goddesses, but embrace the goddess within. Um, Women's bodies are so miraculously beautiful and amazing. We hold life, we grow life, we carry life, we give birth. That's goddess energy. Belly dancing is something my daughters and I used to do, and its origins come from strengthening the pelvic floor and all the muscles that we need to give birth. That very laborious, difficult, painful transition when new life comes from the realms of the heavens through the waters of amniotic fluid, another mystery to be earthborn. And it's amazing. So when you think Venus and Cancer, think of the hottest summer days and the coolest, refreshing dips in the pool, because that's the way she makes you feel. The sun radiates on us and gives us that solar power, but that dip in the pool into the waters of the moon goddess Venus is that refreshing drink of, I'm alive, I'm a woman, and I'm here to love and to give and to care and to support you, nourish you, and nurture you. Now, when we come to the water goddess or Venus in Scorpio, this water is the deep green of the Caribbean, the darkest, deepest blue purples, water that's tumultuous, high tides, water that's turbulent, stirring waters, moving waters, winded waters. Because this middle sign Scorpio, in the middle of the goddesses from Cancer to Scorpio to Pisces, is this transition from virgin to the woman who's experienced sexual union. Venus in Scorpio is highly sexual. Um, and while all Venuses mean relationships, this is that consummate relationship when the sexes come together. With it, there's this mystery of a leaving behind the innocence of self that doesn't know what consummation means. And in Greek mythology, this is the myth of Persephone, who is in the fields by the Straits of Messina between Italy and that little strait going down to the continent of Africa. It's very holy, very spiritual, epics and legends, and our history rich comes from this area of the world. And the story is she's out with her mother in the springtime. No, it wasn't springtime. It's going to be fall. But that's a warm region, and even in the winter months is warmer. It's so close to the equator for the rest of the world. And she's playing when all of a sudden Pluto comes up from hell and sees this innocent little girl, and he grabs her and takes her into the underworld where she's raped. And this initiation from child to womanhood takes place. So Venus in Scorpio is about transformation, everything Scorpio, and being in the middle of these water goddesses. This is a transformative state, and all of you that have heavy Scorpio, Sun Scorpio, your three keys in Scorpio, stelliums in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, your life, your purpose is so deep, and your experiences on earth are colored tragic and are often really, really hard. Um, in the story of Persephone, her mother, a goddess, begged and pleaded with Pluto to bring back her little girl. And it is when Venus is an evening star. Yes, I think so. Yes. In the winter months, she's so bright, and I'm invigorated by her. Oh my goodness, you really have to pay attention. We can often see Venus with a naked eye when she's visible. She's never far away from the sun, but at the current time, it's August the 4th. I mean, April the 4th, um, 2020. We can see her in the western sky. If you live in the United States of America, United States of America. Um, and she is, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. I'll stay back with the Greek myth. So when um, the fields of poppy, and if you don't know what a poppy flower looks like, Google it. My Italian grandmother, um, who was almost 90 years old, told me how she used to make poppy tea for my father. Now, poppy is what opium comes from, but they're the prettiest little red flower, and it's a sedative. And my Italian grandmother calmed her baby with my father, my rambunctious, very active father, when he was just a child with poppy tea. But poppies spread all over the fields, look like little droplets of red, bright cherry red, these flowers. And in mythology and legend, Greek legend, they depict the virginal blood of Persephone raped by horrible, hellish Pluto. And so myth mimics life and life mimics myth, and there are those of us who believe in this pantheon of gods and these stories of yore and these ancient tales for, and all astrologers believe that we have the planetary influences um, of the gods and goddesses and these planets in our heavens. And so Scorpio, Venus meeting Pluto, is Venus, this goddess of love, being introduced to taboo subjects, introduced to hell, introduced to becoming overpowered because rape is not love, rape is not love making, rape is not any form of sex other than it's a cruel, overpowering feeding of the ego, evil, and it's all about power and control, um, done in a sexually deviant way. And so Venus in Scorpio are the stormy seas, the turbulent waters, sexual pulls and torments that can happen within if you have a Venus that's afflicted in your chart, that can come from some childhood trauma, can come from being overcome and abducted sexually, kidnapped, raped, abductive, overcome, overtaken, held down, held back, even in the parts of your life where you're trying to succeed and you had some kind of controlling, domineering force that wouldn't allow you to be who you are. Um, but it's often deeper than that, and it speaks to the things that we don't like to talk about, the taboo and the depths of the most devious people that we've ever met are who Pluto is. And but I want you to remember that this is a goddess, and overall, she's mostly the goddess of transformation. Venus in Scorpio is a woman that has such innate deep powers. Because of the hell she's been through and endured, she goes through this rite of passage, this devastating breakdown of being overpowered, controlled, raped, held down, subdued, oppressed. And there's something in her that builds inside like a volcano and explodes when she refuses to take it anymore. And in relationship, she goes from being held down and overpowered to this goddess, risen, transformed, who's able and capable to feel in, because remember, she's a water goddess, to understand abuse and trauma, hardship, and learns how to empower other people and herself. So she's this amazing goddess of transformation for the things that are deeply held in. She's the goddess of survival. She's endured and withstood things that are unimaginable, sometimes unspeakable. And so, through pain and suffering and sorrow, this goddess loves by example and understanding. And she's usually very psychic, very intuitive, and she can feel into, she'll know sometimes when you don't even know, if it's been so buried in your subconscious mind that something terrible happened to you. And I mean, some of us blank the traumas of childhood or trauma out, that it doesn't come out sometimes ever in a lifetime, and sometimes not until later in life. So Venus in Scorpio has this power and this magnetic attraction and pull. She is usually very sexual. Her sexual experiences are beyond anything Venus and Gemini could ever imagine. There's this rebirth and regeneration that comes in love consummated by someone who's got Venus and Scorpio, male or female. And it can also be such a need and desire to almost a destructive destroying and rebirth, and the energy that gets transpired in the lovemaking that comes from something very painful to something shared very beautiful and understood. So it's the goddess Venus in Scorpio is, think passion, think water, emotional passion, and deep, deep connection in any of her relationships, her parents, to her friends, to her children. There's this power and passion in the soul that's deeply emotional, deeply feeling, deeply transformative. Um, and so finally we come to, I want you to think of the stormiest seas. I want you to think of those nights so black that the only light is the light of the full moon, and the water and winds whip and water crashes against the rocks, and that mystical, magical stirring that you know something's happening, something's changing, something's going on. The water goddesses also represent our subconscious mind. Our minds are the waters of the world, and the water's feeling is water. The body of water, the emotional body. And so these rulers, the moon, which affects the gravitational pull on the water, Pluto, the deep secrets and darkness of mankind's most devious deeds, and whether how you in your life encounter that, but what stage. And so anything Plutonian, anything hellish, where hell's risen, where you come in contact with something criminal, something dark, something that's taboo, is the stage of Pluto with Venus. And when we finally come to the water goddess Venus in Pisces, this water is holy water, baptismal waters. Um, this is the prettiest, calmest, most easy water that inspires us. It's dreamy. We get transported when we see these waters, from the Caribbean to the Pacific to the Aegean to um, all the waters of the world, all of their colors, every color but calmer, easier. It's what poets write about. It's what songwriters make music with. It's the water. All waters are, anyway, in any form. Um, it is our dreamy imagination. It's what makes us tell stories. It's what pulls us magnetically to go to the waters of the world. And so Venus in Pisces, this goddess, is the most compassionate, very psychic, very intuitive, very feeling. She'll again have big eyes. Um, this is the realm of the spirit world and the realm of where we dream when we fall asleep at night. And it's deep. Pisces is the closest we can get to God. It's the 12th sign of the zodiac, the final destination of the evolution of the soul before mankind goes back into spirit to await his heavenly fate. And So these people with Venus and Pisces love music. They're very ethereal. There's a lightness to them that's angelic, and it's almost like you want to touch it, but it's invisible. You can't get it. Um, and they're what stage and theater and all the dreams of our imagination are made of. Um, it's when your soul and spirit are transported by another person. That invisible magic when you can be on stage because you're watching a play, or when your spirit soars by the rhythm and timbre and sounds of a song. Um, this is Venus and Pisces. This goddess is probably the most elusive. You can't quite touch Pisces people. They're two fish. They're symbols, two fish swimming in different directions. And there's something otherworldly about all people Pisces. So if your three keys are in Pisces, you have a stellium in Pisces, your Venus or moon are in Pisces, there's something magical and mystical about the way you live, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you interact with others. But there's a softness. And of the three goddesses, Scorpio won't show you her softness or gentleness, as she has trouble trusting, and for a good reason. Um, you're so lucky if you ever get to be close to her, because there's a wealth of feeling and warmth and closeness that you'll never experience with another person. I think that's true of all the Venuses that are water goddesses. These women and men are so feeling and so gentle and want to meld with you, want to comfort you, want to take care of you, want to protect you, and want to love you. So, think of all the waters in the world and the gradients of color with all the blues, all the greens, all the purples. If you can't go right now, and most of us can't travel right now, Google those sites. Go see the jewels that are the Aegean Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, even the Black Sea, um, and the Holy Seas, the Red Seas. Go look at them. Go look at the waters of the world. Um, there's something mermaid and elusive about the goddess's water. And so um, I've described everything that I wanted to say. Um, the sun can always lift the goddess in you, and the goddess must express herself. And so, no matter what you're going through, and I know this is a hard time for all of us, we're in the crisis of the COVID contagion, where there's no cure yet. But when a woman embraces the goddess that she is, when she dresses and feels the goddess in her, the light within her emanates for everyone to see. And you are made of heavenly energy, and energy is really contagious. So I encourage you to really be gentle with yourself and everyone else. Our lives go by in a blink. I'm almost 58 years old, and I cannot believe my spirit and soul is like a 10-year-old dumb kid, silly, giggling, laughing kid. So time goes by very fast. But I encourage you to decorate your home. If you have Venus in water in these pretty colors of the sea, buy jewelry like this. Buy a bathing suit. Decorate your bedroom with the colors of your goddess. Be artistic. The Venus goddess she rules Taurus and Libra. These signs are very sensual, they care very much about aesthetics. Um, she rules the house of your money, what you value, and she is what you appreciate. And and then she rules the house of relationships. And that's how I know who you love and what you want and what you desire. And so If you have your Venus in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, and you'd like a goddess reading, I'm Lori from 3 Keys Astrology, and you can order those goddess readings from me, and I hope you embrace your goddess every day. Take care and stay tuned for the next video when we talk about the goddesses of the opposite of water, fire. Bye for now.